My name is Marie. I'm 32 years old. My husband Todd is 34, and we have a 4-year-old daughter, Emily. We live a modest but happy life together. I work part-time in the mornings on weekdays, stocking shelves at a deli that sells ham and sausages. I often heard from colleagues that mom friends, groups formed just because our kids are in the same preschool class, are really hit or miss. And boy, did I get a bad one. Emily's preschool has an after-school club for activities. I enrolled her in gymnastics. In gymnastics, Emily became friends with a boy named Jake and a girl named Rachel. One of them, Jake's mom, turned out to be incredibly competitive. The preschool only has 2 parking spaces, and we're told, please don't come by car for pickup as these are for guests. Everyone usually uses the nearby metered parking. But she shows up in a bright red Porsche and parks there anyway. Rachel's mom gently reminds her, "That spot is for guests." But she snaps back, "How scary the common folks are. What if someone scratches my Porsche out of jealousy? Would you pay for it? How scary the common folks are. What if someone scratches my Porsche out of jealousy? Would you pay for it?" The word common left Rachel's mom and me speechless. One cold winter day, Emily and I were walking home from preschool and came across a dog tied unnaturally to a fence. As we got closer, we saw it was very thin and malnourished. A large stone was placed on a cardboard piece at its feet, with "Please take me" written in marker. "Look, a puppy," Emily said, squatting down to pet the shivering dog. I've always loved animals, so we couldn't just leave it there. And that's how we ended up with a new family member. At first, the puppy was very thin, but with no major health issues and a good appetite, it quickly became a fluffy furball. She named him Max. One day, my daughter said, "I want to show Max to Jake and Rachel." Of course, she wanted to show her friends the dog. Yeah, that's a natural thing to want. But this meant Jake's mom would come too. While I was reluctant about dealing with her, I didn't want to drag the kids into adult issues. So, Jake and his mom were invited too. On the day, Rachel and her mom arrived first, and Rachel happily petted Max, saying, "He's so fluffy." Max nuzzled up to her. Watching this, Rachel's mom asked, "Jake and his mom are coming today, is that all right?" It was a strange question, but I understood. Since the common incident, Rachel's mom and I had both found Jake's mom difficult to deal with. We ended up sharing some of our frustrations. Apparently, Jake's dad is an elite at a brokerage firm. But that doesn't mean Jake's mom is any more special, does it? Rachel's mom grumbled. Rachel's mom grumbled. She was absolutely right. If she can't put her Porsche in metered parking, then she shouldn't drive it. It's a nuisance for the preschool too. We were saying when I saw that red Porsche parked in front of my house through the curtains. I went outside to greet them. "Hello." Jake's mom greeted with a bow. Or rather, she inclined her head. It was more like a nod than a bow. And her greeting carried an air of condescension. As usual, she was dressed in clothes that matched her Porsche's brand prestige, holding a package from a high-end cake shop. "Jake, come on in." Emily and Rachel peeked out. "Excuse me." Jake ran past his mother to join Emily and Rachel. And the 3 hugged happily. "Please, come in too," I said to Jake's mom. But as she stepped inside and saw Max wandering around, she said, "Wow, you live in a doghouse together? Huh?" At first, I didn't understand and asked her to repeat it. Rachel's mom looked just as shocked. "Well, isn't it too small for people to live in?" She continued. What? Our place is about the same size." Rachel's mom quickly interjected to cover up the awkwardness. It was obviously a dig. Jake's mom was clearly trying to one-up us. Rachel's mom and I were taken aback by her directness. But Jake's mom didn't pick up on the uncomfortable atmosphere and continued boasting. Well, our place is 3 times the size of this doghouse. And we have a vacation home in California. A vacation home. Rachel's mom and I were speechless. The scale was beyond anything we could respond to. And Jake's mom sat down and scanned the living room with a superior air, her gaze ending on the view of the gate. You don't even have a yard? How can you say you love your dog without a yard or a dog run? A dog run. If it were me, I'd definitely provide a dog run, she said. Rachel's mom and I both felt our faces stiffen. Thanks for having us the other day. The next week, while waiting for the end of gymnastics class, Jake's mom approached me. Oh, it was nothing. Both Rachel's mom and I felt the awkward tension. It was more fun than I thought, but how about playing outside next time instead of in the doghouse? Just the adults. Jake wants to play with the 3 of them again, so maybe we can use the nursery room once in a while, she suggested. We could go to Rachel's house, but it's his doghouse like his Emily's, and our house, you know, we have a lot of valuables. Rachel's mom widened her eyes in shock at hearing this. She looked ready to jump at Jake's mom, but I held her back with one hand. Stay calm. Rachel's mom. How about lunch at Savory? Savory? Rachel's mom and I exchanged looks. Yes, lunch is only $10, so you can afford it if you try, right? Even if you're poor, working in a meat packing job for a month should cover that. I saw you the other day, packing ham at that supermarket with your plastic cap. You didn't notice I bought that ham, did you? Jake's mom sneered. Then the day came. Savory was a high-end French restaurant. In the end, Rachel's dad agreed to watch the kids. I really don't want to go, Rachel's mom and I both exclaimed. But the kids get along so well. Jake is a good kid. So, we reluctantly agreed to endure the outing for the sake of the children. At this point, it felt like we were united in our determination to get through it together. And so, the 3 mom friends, only superficially close, went to a French restaurant that we commoners had never been to. The restaurant was indeed lovely, with birch trees planted in the garden, a beautiful contrast of white and green, and stylish napkin holders. Fresh flowers adorned the table. This attention to detail reflects the chef's personality, don't you think? Jake's mom commented. Rachel's mom and I both wanted to question her own personality instead. Still, Jake's mom swirled her wine, inhaled the aroma, and took a sip with a dreamy sigh. Wine at a high-end French restaurant is the best. We don't usually come to places like this. Rachel's mom and I forced a smile. Well, of course not. You both live in doghouses, and Emily's mom works part-time at a meat processing plant. Her blatant rudeness made Rachel's mom and me grimace even more, nearly spilling our wine. That's what happened. I was sealing packs of discounted sausages, venting to my coworker. Wow, you've met quite a character. Didn't I tell you that mom friends groups can be hit or miss? You did, but still. The coworker who had warned me initially was Sophia, 35. My part-time colleague in the meat department. Wait, are you talking about the preschool that's a 5-minute walk from here? Who is this person? I should know their name in case we end up at the same elementary school. I think their last name is Sullivan. Jake's last name is Sullivan. The mom's name is Cora Sullivan, I think. But I doubt we'll end up at the same school. She drives a Porsche from way out of town to drop off her kid. Hey, I want to see this person. Invite her over as a friend. As she placed price stickers on packs, Sophia continued. People who love to show off are always looking for an audience. If you invite her, she'll probably come easily. I'd love to see this treasure with my own eyes. Sophia is a big woman, both tall and broad. She often jokes that she resembles the pig on our store's sign. She used to say, I looked like Jennifer Lopez when I was younger. But she must have put on at least 90 pounds since then. So, I decided to invite Jake's mom the next time I saw her at gymnastics pickup. A friend from work heard that you love French food and would like to hang out this weekend. I suggested. My husband offered to watch the 3 kids, so it would just be adults. Ah, a French cuisine buddy? She laughed, placing the back of her hand over her mouth. A friend from a meat processing plant, huh? She repeated. Sure, why not? She said, looking down at me with a slight tilt of her head. Clearly, she was planning to look down on Sophia too. It was annoying, but I held back my irritation. When I told Sophia about the plan, she said, all right, let's meet at the park in front of the preschool this weekend. You and your friend can't drive, right? I'll give you a ride. Tell that woman to come in her fancy car. Sophia laughed heartily. Jake's mom arrived in her red Porsche, wearing stylish sunglasses and carrying a high-end bag. Hello. Hello. Sophia greeted her energetically. Jake's mom looked a bit surprised. Probably because of her size. Seeing such a large woman step out of a small car must have been quite a shock. Let's get going then. And sorry, but these 2 don't have cars, so I'll be giving them a ride. I'll take you to a top-notch French restaurant. Where exactly? Jake's mom seemed a bit hesitant at how quickly things were moving. Just follow me. I'll go first. Okay. Jake's mom, still looking a bit rattled, got back into her Porsche. Hold on tight, Sophia said. Rachel's mom and I were constantly yelling from the back seat. The restaurant was a 1-hour drive away. A long distance. And that's not all. The route included a mountain pass with many sharp curves. By the time we arrived at our destination, if you're going to brag about driving a Porsche, Sophia spoke up as Jake's mom, looking exhausted, got out of the car in the parking lot. Make sure you have the driving skills to back it up. The Porsche was covered in scratches. It seemed like the body had hit the roadside multiple times. I feel sick. It looked like she got carsick from her own driving. Rachel's mom whispered to me as we watched Jake's mom gagging by the roadside. She always acts all high and mighty, pretending to be a high-class lady. Look at her now, it's pathetic. And she was worried about getting scratches on her car. It didn't even make it into the metered parking, and now it's covered in scratches. I whispered back. Finally, after a treacherous 1-hour drive over the mountain pass, we arrived at the French restaurant. It's supposed to be a hidden gem, Sophia said. Hello, Sophia greeted. Aw, welcome. The server hurried to prepare our table. Sophia ordered the course for everyone. And I've heard you like to drink wine in places like this. Well, you drove today, but there's no way you can drive back with that poor driving. So, we're definitely using a ride service to get home, right? So, she ordered the wine from the sommelier waiting at the back. The sommelier brought the wine with a flourish. Jake's mom straightened up a bit. She exuded an air of, French cuisine is my domain, while these 3 poor folks are out of their element. I felt sick earlier, but the air here is fresh, and having wine in the afternoon really lifts my spirits," she said, back to her usual haughty self. She swirled the wine in her glass, savored the aroma, and took a deep sip. Sophia watched her swallow the wine and then asked, "How much do you think it is?" "Huh?" Jake's mom asked, confused. Sophia glanced at the sommelier. The wine label was covered with a white cloth. "Guess the price." "You love this stuff, right?" "What?" Jake's mom made a strange noise in surprise. "I've only seen this kind of thing on TV shows." I was also surprised by this turn of events. Well," Jake's mom stammered, clearly flustered, and Sophia sighed in exasperation. "Look, I'm not asking you to name the label. Just whether it's cheap or expensive. You should be able to tell that much if you're going to say things like the wine at high-end French restaurants is the best. So, it's a 50-50 guess. Take a shot." Jake's mom drained her glass, her face still pale. Then she spat out, It's pretty good, I guess. But this is a trick, isn't it? You're giving me cheap wine to make fun of me, thinking I can't tell the difference. It's just jealousy from poor people, isn't it?" Hearing this, Sophia gestured for the sommelier to remove the white cloth. The sommelier took off the cloth. "It's a Domaine Leroy Newt St. George AUX a lots. From 1969. About $3,000. But before you say anything about not being a real high-class person because you got it wrong, what's with saying it's pretty good? Don't you notice the cassis aroma or the tannin like fallen leaves?" Sophia laughed, exasperated. People who act like they're high class but look down on others are usually like that. Sophia said. "Surely, you understand now." "Understand? What does she mean?" I wondered, but Jake's mom nodded, trembling. Then, haltingly, she spoke. "This woman, she's the daughter of the president of Prime Valley Ham." "What?" Rachel's mom and I both exclaimed in unison, as we hadn't known either. Sophia sighed and leaned back in her chair. "But being rich isn't all good, you know." I was taught to be someone who could be proud anywhere, learning violin, piano, and English conversation from a young age. Golf, too. And since we drive luxury cars, a driving instructor would come. I had to become knowledgeable about wine, too. But even if you do well in school or can play the violin, it doesn't mean anything. At school, you're just told, it must be nice to be rich. In elementary school, I was never called by my name. It was always the daughter of Prime Valley Ham. You can't just go around acting like you're some high-class person without knowing the struggles. We've worked hard to instill proper manners and education. Then, Sophia turned back to Jake's mom and addressed her again. "So, it's been a while, hasn't it, Cora?" "What?" Rachel's mom and I exclaimed in surprise. "You looked shocked when you first saw me." This woman was my classmate in elementary school. With a unique name like Cora, I knew it had to be her when we met. Sophia then told us about their troublesome elementary school days. In a slightly irritated tone. She was the one who always said, "It must be nice to be rich," about everything back then. So now, tell me, how does it feel to be exposed as a fake high-class person? As Sophia cornered Jake's mom, I couldn't help but wonder. But why would the daughter of such a big CEO be working part-time? It was a natural question. And Sophia seemed to read my mind. My husband is probably going to be the next CEO. I could be a full-time housewife, but I want to buy gifts for my husband with my own money and buy sweets for my kids. Plus, there are things you can understand only by working alongside the employees. Sophia and I worked part-time at a Prime Valley ham store. By the way, Cora, I heard you told our classmates at the reunion that your husband is a pilot. But you're enjoying lunch wine with the money your pilot husband earned, driving a Porsche, and in the end, it's not money you earned yourself. The facade is peeling off, isn't it? Sophia added sharply. A pilot? Now it was my turn to be surprised. Jake's mom looked down quickly. Wait, wasn't Jake's dad an elite trading company employee? About that, Rachel's mom interjected. She told another mom friend he was a doctor. Unbelievable. I was astonished. Not only was the facade peeling off, but even the facade itself was a lie. Jake's mom, panicking, looked up and pointed through the glass at the Porsche. But the Porsche is real. Look. Oh, sure. And what do you mean by the Porsche is real? Sophia laughed. Then she urged Rachel's mom and me. Well, let's set aside this facade and enjoy our lunch. The ham used here is from our company, so it's exceptionally delicious. Enjoy! I looked at the delicate, shining dish with the pink ham in the center of my plate. The ham I work with. Yes. It's served in such high-end restaurants as a reward for your hard work. So, we enjoyed an exquisite lunch. Jake's mom, slumped over and not touching the dishes that kept coming out, probably needed to call a ride service to get home. We left her and returned home in Sophia's car. When we got home, my husband was watching Rachel and our daughter. Where's Jake? I asked. His dad came to pick him up, so he went home early. He replied. Jake was a good boy. He said his dad is a car doctor and that he wants to be like him someday. He even drew a picture for us. He said, showing us the picture Jake had drawn. Dad's work clothes are so cool. They have lots of car logos on them. Apparently, his dad was a car mechanic. Jake said he saw a cool car at his dad's workplace and wanted it so badly that his dad worked hard to buy it. He said he's going to grow up, marry Rachel and Emily, and drive them around in it. My husband said cheerfully. When Jake's dad came to pick him up, he explained. Cars are my hobby. I work in a job related to cars, but Jake really liked that car, and as a fellow car enthusiast, I understood. So, I decided to buy it. Well, it's used though, he said happily. Cars are my hobby. I work in a job related to cars, but Jake really liked that car, and as a fellow car enthusiast, I understood. So, I decided to buy it. Well, it's used though, he said happily. A year later, Jake, who had been coming to preschool by car from afar, went to a different elementary school. However, Jake and I met again 10 years later in high school. Jake told me that his mom had belittled his dad, calling his job a profession that brings shame and saying, "It's embarrassing that people found out about your job." His dad, proud of his work, got angry and they divorced because of their differing values. When she said all you have is that Porsche, I think anyone in Dad's position would be angry. Mom can't be contacted now. She couldn't get a job and went back to her distant hometown. She used to buy clothes and stuff with credit cards, on installment payments, right? She said there were years' worth of payments left. I wonder if she finished paying it off. Jake said. By the way, when my daughter asked, "Do you have a vacation home?" A vacation home? What's that about? We have Grandma's house, though, he replied. Jake had already decided to go to a technical school for auto mechanics. If you scratch your car, I'll fix it for you, he said, holding a brochure for the school. Well, he didn't end up marrying either my daughter or Rachel, but he still loves cars.